The United States and the European Union are currently negotiating the largest trade deal in human history, but chances are you've never heard of it. The Transatlantic Free Trade Agreement, otherwise known as TAFTA, has the potential to radically change everything from food safety inspection standards to copyright law. But like its Asian counterpart, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, it's being negotiated entirely in secret. Over the past few decades, free trade agreements have had a dramatic impact on the American economy and have led to the destruction of much of the American middle class. So when Washington tells us that the latest trade pact is all just a way to streamline existing economic partnerships, well, you should probably take that with a grain of salt. For more on TAFTA and what it could mean to you, I'm joined now by Lori Wallach, Director of Public Citizens Global Trade Watch. Lori, welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Great to have you with us again. So, TAFTA. What is TAFTA?
Well, it's a plan that was hatched originally by a group called the Transatlantic Business Dialogue. These are the largest U.S. and EU multinational corporations. In 1995, they got together officially to have special access to the U.S. and European governments, and they started talking about a plan to remove trade irritants, their word, translated, because they are very helpful in making a list. It's the best environmental, labor, worker, safety standards on either side of the Atlantic. So pick your favorite thing about either the U.S. or the EU. The U.S. now has better financial regulations. Europe has better food safety standards. Those are the targets for elimination because, you know, deregulation, that's an efficiency.
So it's lowest common denominator, absolute lowest common denominator.
The whole agenda, heartbreakingly, is about removing any obstacle. We would call them our most important consumer, human, environmental standards that inhibit just the free rampage of U.S. and EU companies. And they even admit up front there are no border taxes, tariffs left to cut. So this is all about actually getting rid of these regulatory inhibitions. Now, the problem here, of course, is we can all see the big downsides because we are the eaters, we are the people who are going to be exposed to the toxics. For instance, there are even rules that undermine our consumer privacy, so have our data floating around even more. All of these things that companies want, but there's no real upside for us.
And is that why they are negotiating this functionally in secrecy and the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, overtly negotiating in secret, and why the president is asking for fast-track authority? He wants to propose them to Congress in a way that they cannot amend them, they cannot functionally debate them, up or down vote, can't be filibustered, and it seems to me like even a violation of the constitutional requirement that the treaties be ratified by a supermajority.
Well, I think Senator Warren said it the best when she was on the floor and voted against the guy who just got approved to be the new U.S. trade representative, the top trade official. She said, with this secrecy, it's totally unacceptable. If the reason you're keeping the agreement secret, which is what it looks like, is because you don't think you could finish them, if the American public knew what was in them, then we should not have them as our policy. And I think you're spot on. Really, all of these special secretive procedures, the closed doors, the trying to skirt the normal congressional procedures, all that stuff is about trying to steamroller agreements with policies that are not in most of our interests that you wouldn't get through under normal order.
Yeah, and normal order being the ability to debate them, to modify them, to amend them.
Send them back and say, fix this part. Hey, these 3 things, A-OK. These 7 things, total baloney. Because the other thing that is in this TAFTA agreement that's very revealing is they've set in the investor state corporate investor privileges and the right to sue our governments, skirting our laws and our courts in World Bank and UN tribunals to extract our tax dollars for foreign companies. Now, that system, which is in TPP, was ostensibly created for when a rich country company went to a developing country that didn't have great laws or reliable courts. So as I testified yesterday at the Stakeholder Day on TAFTA, would it be the U.S. or the EU property rights or courts that you guys think are crappy? Because otherwise, why would you have a whole system of special corporate rights for one class, foreign investors, that gave them privileges even above your domestic companies.
Amazing.
That exposed our tax dollars to being rated for nothing more than these
so
foreign
instead of us
companies
regulating the
don't
banksters,
exactly.
the banksters are regulating us.